Thank you, Sister Riley. It's so good to have you worship with us today. We at Bethany, we take our worship serious. We recognize it was God that made us and not we ourselves. We are his people, the sheep of his pasture, and everything that we have is in God's hand. That means the next beat and the next breath of air is in God's hand. Sometimes we think that we're in charge of a lot of things, but in reality, we could walk out those doors today and step into eternity, and wouldn't a thing back here skip a beat. God has us, and he has a plan for our lives. And some of the biggest problems we have is not yielding to God's plan.
From Bethany Community Christian Church of Sedalia, North Carolina comes Fill My Cup Ministry at fillmycupspace.com, featuring Bethany's senior pastor, the Honorable Dr. Henry L. Simmons.
Chapter 4 of 1 Chronicles. Now Jabez was more honorable than his brethren, and his mother called his name Jabez, saying, because I bore him in pain. Jabez was a pain. And Jabez's mother Jabez called on the God of Israel, saying, oh, that you would bless me indeed, and enlarge my territory, that your hand would be with me, and that you would keep me from evil, that I may not cause pain. He's really conscientious. You see, caused his mother so much pain, he don't want to cause anybody else. So God granted him what he requested. Interesting, huh? How can you get a sermon out of those two verses? Let's pray that God speaks to us this morning, because all of us are basically in a Jabez situation. Number one, he was talking about the families, and all of a sudden the writer remembers that Jabez was more honorable than his brethren, and that his mother named him Jabez because she had so much pain. Now, could you say Jabez was a pain in the neck or something? There are other places he could be a pain, but she named him Pain. How would you like being named Pain? And you had to go to church at the school with all the other little kids. Hey, Pain. That's the old pain in their neck. Jabez, Pain. It's just like giving somebody a name is Ugly. Come here, Ugly. You can't get away from it. Pain. And you notice that when he prayed to God, he asked God, he didn't want to cause anybody. I guess he said no much pain. Now, the Bible does not tell us why his mother called him Pain. Maybe she had a lot of pain during childbirth. Maybe when she got through pushing that boy out, she memorialized him with the name Pain. Said, you the pain. I got rid of that pain. Anyway, Jabez was named Pain. So what am I starting off with? We're starting off to tell you that Jabez had a problem when he got here. He had a problem when he got here. Now, we want to play back cool and clean and collected. Half of us had a problem when we came here. Number one, we was in the wrong race. Number two, we was in the wrong family. We were broke and poor. 99% of us hit the door with a problem. And that's all our world do is set up problems. Call some people Hispanic, call some people black, call some people white, and all kind of things so you can label and tie them down to a situation. You're broke and poor and black. Pain. How many more babies do I have to have? I don't know. I'm getting to the story now. I just want to show you how ugly this thing started off. How would you like to spend the rest of your life as a memorial to the pain that you caused your mother? Huh? You wouldn't want that on your back. And people in Israel, they took special pride in naming children. God saying, you shall call his name Jesus, because he will save his people from their sin. And he told him, saying, you shall call his name John, and you shall call his name there. God took special pride, and the children of Israel took pressure, pride, and naming their children. And this boy get a name like Pain. Started off. Some of the old people still say he got up on the wrong side of the bed, Sister Fowler. Started off on the wrong foot. Yeah, he got but two. He didn't start off on the wrong foot. He started off on that other one. But the point I'm trying to get to is he has to get started off with a name like Pain. His future's really bright, isn't it? Oh, he's got this great future. Not only is he poor, and his mother, though, when she looks at him, all she can think of is pain. He's a pitiful thing. But something this boy did that got him in the Bible. 2 verses, but it got him in there. Let's read. Now Jabez was more honorable than his brothers, and his mother called his name Jabez, saying, because I bore him in pain. And this is the key part. And Jabez called on the God of Israel, saying, oh, that you would bless me indeed and enlarge my territory, that your hand would be with me, and that you would keep me from evil, that I may not cause pain. I'm going to try to break that down. Jabez is stretching out before God, and he said, Lord, you bless me. He's not telling you what he wants from Christmas. He's not giving you a list. He's not telling you where your leg hurt or your back hurt. He said, Lord, you bless me. I come here with a name like Pain, and my mother is ashamed of me, and now I come to you, God, and I'm saying whatever you want to do, however you want to bless me, you bless me. I think the King James Version said, oh, that thou would bless me indeed. Just bless me. But what is he asking for? Now, I'm sure y'all read along with me there, but let me go back and read that again. He said, oh, that thou should bless me indeed. Oh, then he said, that you, and enlarge my territory. That means to enlarge my capabilities, enlarge my coast, edges of my boundary, enlarge me, enlarge my coast, enlarge my boundaries. In other words, God, give me a greater capacity to serve you. Give me a greater capacity to serve this community. I said, if Bethany's prayer was a Jabez prayer, then Bethany would pray that God would bless this church, that it would enlarge its territory, that it would have an effect on the neighborhood it's in the community it is in. Lord, enlarge my territory. Give me greater capability to do the thing, to operate for you. Lord, give me an emphasis. Give me authority. Give me the capabilities to help your people change. Help me, Lord. Enlarge my coast. Give me a greater capacity to love you. How can I have a greater capacity to love God? Help me to see what's wrong in the world. Help me to become an instrument, Lord, that you can use. You enlarge me. I am nobody, and I just got here. And all my life has been nobody. I've been a pain from kindergarten to right now, and I'm asking you, Lord, you bless me. Enlarge my coast. And after you enlarge my coast, what do you ask him to do? And that your hand will be on me. Now, not too many people will ask God to put his hands on them, would they? How could you walk around with God's hand on you if you don't want to do right? It won't work. So you have to do say, let your hands be on me. Let me go back and deal with one of the other writers or one of the other. God said that David was a man after his own heart. Let me look at David for a minute. If y'all bear with me, we'll be out of here in a little bit. When the prophet went to Jesse's house, the prophet was Samuel. He went to Jesse's house to anoint the new king. David was 17 years old when he rolled that old bag up over David, and all the oil rushed out on David. He was the one. And Samuel said, a voice whispered in his ear, say, he is the one. The man looketh in the outward parts, but God looks to the heart. Y'all follow this? God looks to the heart. All these boys you sent before Samuel, and the oil would not come out until David came. And David was 17. If David was going to be a man after God's own heart, what was the first thing God would have to do for David? He would have to expand David's coast to give David a capacity to touch more people, a capacity to love more, a capacity to help the name of God. So the first thing God would have to do is expand his coast. And how did God expand David's coast? He said, you will be the next king. I make you in charge of the people of Israel. So David's coast was expanded. What the next thing that God had to do for David? He had to put his hands on David. When David committed sin, he said, Lord, my bones dried up in me, but let your hand be upon me. He said, but when the hand of the Lord is upon you, it is a heavy hand. Because when David was doing wrong, that hand pushed him down. He said, my bones were aching because of the hand of God was so weighty upon me. But David prayed that God would be with him, and God was with him. So the first thing that we're looking at, Jabez don't even realize it, but the first thing you got to do is, number one, say, God, enlarge my coast. Give me a greater capacity. If you sitting around your world squinching in on you, getting smaller and smaller, and what you're doing is lesser and lesser, ask God to expand your coast. Enlarge your territory. Give you more children to take care of. Give you more families to feed. Give you more souls to save. Give you more help. Help somebody. So how did he enlarge David's coast? Gave him the whole nation. You will affect the whole nation. How does God want us to be affected? Most of us go through life. We want to be the king or the queen or the duke or the earl. How about being the husband? How about being the daddy? Lord, enlarge my coast. My youngers are acting up, but God, you have given me now more things to work with. I got to pray stronger. I got to get tighter so I can work my way with children. Enlarge my coast. Give me more of a capacity to help my children, to be there for my wife during her ailing years, to be there for my children during their formative years, to be there during their pubertive years. Little girls need their daddies when they go through puberty. They need to be able to sit on their little daddy's knee. They need that. Ask the Lord to enlarge your coast, to be that man for those girls, and to be that man for those boys. Those boys need to see a man. But what we do is we turn away from the enlarging our coast to get on some other hill out here to scream at the moon and howl at the moon. Let's deal with what God has given us. He said, Lord, you expand my coast. Sometimes what we do when our coast get expanded, when our capacity get expanded, let me show you what we do. Your child didn't pass the 5th grade. Or they told you he couldn't ride the bus no more. Look at those situations. I ain't gonna play with that kid no more. I don't care. You have him, and he won't do nothing I say. That is an opportunity for you to ask God to expand your coast, to expand your capacity, to serve as a daddy, to get your day off and go to that school and talk to those instructors. Learn what's going on in your community. And you might find yourself sitting on the PTA, and next thing you know, you're the president of the PTA. God is enlarging your coast, giving you a greater capacity to serve him, to serve your child, to serve your community, and to serve this nation. But we turn away from those kind of things and say, oh, that's just, and my wife just giving me trouble all the time. I remember when my wife was going through those hot flashes. I laughed at her. Believe me, I don't laugh no more. I don't laugh no more. They gave me a shot and I had hot flashes. I said, isn't God something? God showed me. I used to wonder, why them women got all them old fans at church? I was sitting up in the funeral and just bust out sweating. Get that fan. Point I'm making. When God gives you what Jabez is praying for, your whole world will change. When God starts to expand your capacity. You come to church and it ain't hot enough or it ain't cold enough. You get up early and come open up this church and set the fires and get the air conditioning running. You ask God to expand my boundary. Give me more capacity to serve Bethany, to serve my community. Sit in the car and wait for somebody else to come because you know you need to be there. How is the pastor got to be the first one to open these doors, the last one to leave these doors? Increase my coast. God has given us all so much to do, but we shirking it. Somebody else to do it. If you want God to expand your boundaries, you got to be able to. Sometimes those kids can make your life so miserable. You stop and you go over there to that school wherever that child is. You will find out that your child ain't the only one getting beat up and knocked upside the head. You might have to get you a group of people. We're going to have to deal with this school board, y'all. That's how God works in us. Y'all think this something that take place outside the church? No! I'm telling you, Jabez prayed that God will expand his capacity. Give me a greater capacity to serve, Sister Fowles. I look at you and those kids coming over and stuff like that. You always reaching out for greater capacity. And when you're talking about feeding the children, that's capacity. Asking God to give us a greater capacity. That's what Jabez said. He said, Lord, he said, because she said, oh, you would bless me indeed and enlarge my territory. And your hand would be on me. Your hand would be on me. I like what David said. David said he was praying for the hand of the Lord to be on him. There's something about that. You remember when David did wrong, God asked David, said, who you want to punish you? Do you want me to turn your enemies on you or do you want me to punish you? What do y'all think David said? He said, I want you to punish me because my enemy may not know when to stop. I know you know when to stop. So David said, you punish me. And then the other thing is that when David committed sin, when Nathan finally caught up with him, Nathan said, God said he see you. I'm paraphrasing, of course. God said he see you. Oh. He said he see me. And finally, after David got to praying, he said, Lord, I'm glad you caught me because I was getting tired of this. He said, my bones were drying up. Now, most of us don't know what that means. That means all the joy of his life was skating away. And he was finding himself in a miserable situation. Now, I'm going to ask you a personal question. What about your life? Is the joy disappearing? Is the oldest kid finally graduating from high school? You say, oh, no, I'm through with that. And your little world gets smaller and smaller. There's nothing you affect anymore. Then you go to watching TV and want to worry about Trump and all of that when you you don't have any capacity to deal with the Trumps of the world or with the presidents of any of these people, but you done got caught up in that because you refuse to do what? Ask for the capacity and fulfill the capacity that God has given you. How many people y'all know are ready to talk about Trump in a minute, drop of a hat, but they can't tell you what's going on in your school board. They can't tell you what's going on in your own city. Things that they can have an effect on doesn't matter. So when your territory is enlarged, let me see, can I explain something? Did you know when God expands your boundaries or your territory, Everything within your territory is a thing that you can affect. Follow me. The things that you can affect is in your territory. If you work on the things in your territory and affect the thing that's in your territory, God will expand your territory. Why are you out there worried about who shot Emmett Till? How about the kids in your family? Are they eating every day? Are you getting up and providing them? Are you reading the Bible to them? Are you teaching about the word of the Lord? You tell them how God bless you. And if you do that right, that's your territory. These are your children in your house. Then if you can affect this, God will expand it. And somebody said, let's put her on the school board. Look at her kids. And then you get on that thing, you're expanding, your boundaries expanded. Now you are strong in that school system and you helping those teachers get what they need to teach those kids. And then you are effective in your territory. Then God will expand it. Somebody said, we need to get her to run for Congress. But let me tell you what happened when you get outside of your territory where you have no influence. You know what people are going to say? You're a fool. They get tired of hearing your voice. Well, you know, the country going to hell in a handbag. You ain't got nothing to do with it. All you got is one vote. What about your family? What about those children you got? What about that husband? Can you love that husband? I was a hateful, sinning man, and my wife went to church every Sunday. She never got on me about going to church. She showed me that she was real about church. Do y'all know I followed that woman to church? She ain't asked me not one day, when you come to church, my sister was over there with her unsaved husband. She was telling him, when she come back from church, oh, you going to hell. And I, oh, Lord. Now that man died, he dead and gone now. Never did you see Christ. But my wife never said a thing. And the kids, she had them kids singing in the choir and everything, my two little girls. She said they was knowing, Mama, looking behind you. They was up in the choir stand. Papa, Daddy back there. And said they finally come to the conclusion maybe the lights went out. He's supposed to be watching the football game. But the point I'm making is stay within your territory. If God made you a deacon, try to be the best deacon you can be and influence all the people in your church. Pretty soon that church will come together and say, we want him for our pastor. But if you go out here and try to take the pastor's job, you ain't going to have nothing when the pastor gone. I don't mean to be messing with you personally, but I'm just telling you about stay in your territory. In your territory. Just you got to change in life. Oh, my kid's grown. Man, God can expand your boundaries. So I hate to see people just dried up and got 45, 50 years old and dried up. Don't even know what their grandchildren doing. Am I preaching wrong today? I'm trying to get you to see something. Stay in your territory. What did he say? He didn't say, let me go out there and talk about Trump. He said, Lord, expand my territory. Give me more to do. And God will give you more to do. He'll let you see the thing. Half the stuff we point our finger at, God already prepared us so that we'll point our finger. Illustration. Moses left Egypt because they were on his trail. He saw how they were mistreating the Hebrews. And not only that, he saw some other things. The reason I know he saw some other things, what did he say when he met God? I'm the God of Abraham, I'm the God of Isaac. He said, if you're the God of those people, don't you know they're not their slaves in Egypt? Oh, and God said, I saw my people, I know what they're going through. I've heard their cries. Then Moses said, what you going to do? God said, I got you ready, Moses. I'm going to send you. Moses, me? When I left there on a half a tank of gas. I can't go back. God sent Moses back. I'm trying to get y'all to see something. This is how God operates. That's how God expands your boundaries. You saw it. You saw the problem. He even come to God to my, if them your people, why ain't you did nothing? God said, what you think I'm doing now? Oh, you see a problem? And I ain't trying to pick on those school boards or nothing like that. You see a problem in the schools? God will expand your boundaries. How would he do it? Number one, he'll tell you, I gave you plenty of time to get your family together. What you look like? Wait, I'm a preacher's kid. They call them PKs. And they would say the preacher kids, the worst kids. And me and my brothers, we tried to make that true. We were trying our best to make that a true saying. We the baddest kids in town. But there was my dad up there telling everybody how to raise their families. And we was, every time, what did you say, Brother Simmons? They say, you always getting into something. Say, is it one of them Simmons boys? That's what they would say. They would say, wasn't one of them Simmons boys? And, you know, my dad at that time, he was working with the police, getting people in and out of jail. And they would say, oh, that's Reverend, anyway. That's one of them Reverend, that's one of them young ones he got over there. I know one time my brother stole something out of a store. They had him over there. They said, we don't know what to do with him. We got to wait for Reverend Simmons to come. Reverend said, what you want? Dad said, keep him in there 2 days. They don't do things like that now, but they locked him up for 2 days. He learned a lesson. He is still no more. Okay. Now, Jabez's other prayer was that God's hand would be on him, that he wouldn't cause anybody any pain. Have we, in our prayers, have we thought unselfishly like Jabez? Jabez is saying, Lord, I could hurt somebody. In other words, when God gives you a greater capacity or enlarge your territory, you have more of strength and ability and capability to hurt somebody. Y'all know why you said Trump's going to hurt somebody. The greater your capacity, the more you're able to hurt somebody. If you get to be head of the school board, you can hurt somebody. You can fire some teachers. You can do a whole lot of things. But Jabez said, if you expand my boundaries and put your hand on me, then I won't hurt nobody. Keep me from evil. Don't let me get caught up in half the stuff people are getting caught up in now. Is that a good enough prayer? Let us pray as a church. Expand the boundaries of Bethany. Give us a greater ministry. Give us a way to touch more lives, to show Christ in our lives to more people. And if we are husband and wives, pray that God give you a greater capacity to love your wife, to be that person your wife needs, to be there for those little girls and they're going through puberty, to show them what true love is all about, not about sex. Ask God to give you that capacity. It's there. It's out in front of you, but you won't reach and get it. I see young men in their early 30s don't realize how much these women need them in their lives. And they're putting everything in a sex pill when these girls need their dads, when these wives need their husbands. Give me a greater capacity. I'm breaking this down to the real life we live in. Jabez said, Lord, use me. Is that another way of saying it? He said, Lord, use me. Now, can I restate it? Use Bethany to change the lives of the people in our community. Father God, use me to be the pastor that can touch and help people become closer to you. Let me be a pastor that can bring the word of God in such a way that we will realize that God operates in the affairs of his children. God is the one that lets you open your eyes to see, and you see the need. Don't let the devil make you so mad with your wife or so mad with the children. All you can see is discipline. See something else. See the love of God, the mercy of God, and let that shine in your life. Can you touch somebody? Can you help somebody? Can you love your neighbor? Can you